Okay, good morning. For the record, I'm Chris Young, Chair of the HDC's Sign Advisory Committee. Let's confirm access. Members respond with an aye. Paul Wolf.
Aye.
Kevin Kuster.
Aye.
Ben Norman.
Aye.
And for staff, we have Billy Saad.
Here.
This open meeting of the HDC's SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. That order, posted with the agenda materials for the meeting, allows public bodies to convene remotely so long as public access to deliberations is reasonably provided. This meeting is convening via Zoom with video and audio recording, and we're being broadcast and recorded on the town's YouTube channel. We will feature public comment. Materials provided to members for the meeting or provided during the meeting are, unless otherwise noted, available on the town's website. During the meeting, I'll introduce agenda topics and speakers. Please remember to mute your Zoom audio until your name's called. Direct comments and questions through the chair to avoid crosstalk and the taking of minutes easier. Votes will be conducted by roll call, and we will call the meeting to order at 9:06 on February 21st, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
So move.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Kevin. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Great. Let me just pull up. And we have no minutes. Is that correct?
I emailed everyone the minutes, I think just a couple days after the last meeting.
Correct. I apologize. Does anybody have comments on the February 7th minutes? Anybody want to make a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ben. You in favor?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any commissioner comments? Anybody want to speak to general thoughts?
No.
Seeing none. Is anybody here for public comment that isn't related to an application? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the first new business item, which is the Sherburne Commons.
Yes, hello.
We have the wall signs.
Yes.
Yes, is that Mike?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. Well,
Morning.
Okay, so introduce us to the application that you presented here.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Mike Cagino from Plymouth Sign Company, and we are here to put a new sign up over at the resident Sherburne Commons. And what's existing there now is one sign that is 20 inches by 84 for the Briar Patch Pediatrics. What it is, it's a shared entrance for both Briar Patch Pediatrics and the Visiting Nurse Association. So we would like to put up a sign over the entrance, same position, same location, same size, and just split between the two tenants.
Okay. Is the home care and hospice the same business or the same as the Visiting Nurses Association? Is it the same message, or are we representing three different interests here?
No, the visiting nurses in the home care is one business.
Is one thing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. I will say this sign is in a fairly remote location. You really need to be deep into the campus, and even at that point, it's around a back corner, just for everybody's sort of sense of location. Let's open it up to the. I'm gonna just let the commissioners make their comments. So, Paul.
I really don't have any comments. It's clearly not visible from the road.
Okay, Ben.
I agree. I mean, a part of me, not to drag this out, but a part of me would almost imagine like a what's it called when you have like multiple tenants in a
directory sign.
Or yeah, I know. Almost that would be more. I mean, the sign kind of looks ridiculous. A directory sign of some sort would be a lot cleaner, but I don't. This is fine. The proposal's fine.
Yeah, Kevin.
I think it should be broken into two separate signs. And perhaps both with a solid color background to each, either all of one or all of the other. It just seems really confusing for what it is. Would be what I'd like to see.
Yeah, my thought was the same, is that even though it's a remote location, I don't like the precedent of having three signs sort of melded together in this. It just doesn't look right, and I wouldn't want that to become a basis for other applications. And I was wondering about these businesses, because I also thought leaving the Briar Patch pediatric sign in place just so that it doesn't have to be rebuilt, and making, you know, two smaller quarter boards, one above each window, or doing something along those lines. But seeing as how it's one message, maybe even this, it's an 11 square foot sign as it exists. And I wonder if we could just say, slide the Briar Patch pediatric over the one window and put a new sign over the other window so that they sort of match. I don't like the squishing three signs together in one space like that. Does anybody else before we go back to Mike, does anybody on the board have a thought about those options? Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the sign doesn't look very good. No offense, Mike. And if there is some way to make it more familiar, and I think maybe that's why I'm leaning towards this directory sign of some sort. And I know everybody's going to cringe, but even like a freestanding over by that, kind of tucked into one of those hedges there or something. This, I don't know. This, I agree with you. I think that I would let it go due to the lack of due to the location, but it's not a perfect sign without a doubt.
Yeah, Kevin?
I pretty much feel the same. I think it should be two separate signs. So I'd be happy to make a motion to hold for revisions.
Okay, let me let Paul speak before we entertain that motion, if that's all right. So Paul, do you have any thoughts?
I don't have any further comments. I think what Chris proposed is probably the best alternative.
Okay, so and Mike, we're going to make a motion, it sounds like, here for a well, we do have a motion. Do you have any questions for us that before we act on that?
So yeah, thank you. So if we were to just separate the two of them, so one sign would be 20 inches by 42, and one would be 20 inches by 42, and just open them up so there'd be a space between them, but keep them over the front entrance. Would that be okay? Because then I could just, we can make those two separate signs, just cut it down the middle. That make sense?
That certainly would be an option. So you're saying just take it, cut it down the middle. I think one thing to look at is also the way that home hospice and care and the darker blue upper section, they don't really relate. So almost making a more uniform looking sign when you propose that new sign is a comment that sounds like it was coming around from everybody, meaning like solid background color or something along those lines. And so I think that actually is that would make two smaller signs. Perhaps then locations will come into play. Like, do we want them over the windows rather than over the doors or something so they look balanced? But going back, let me just ask the board, do you guys think that having two 84 by 20 signs, which would total 22 square feet, which is a slight exception to the 20 square foot maximum, would be a problem as opposed to cutting these in half? Let me just ask the board that. Kevin?
I think they can each be a little smaller, so there's no reason just to simply cut them in half. And also just looking at the Briar Patch pediatrics, and I'm not sure we're okay with that font being sans serif. That's a question.
And the same with the home care and hospice. It looks like just serifed up as well.
Yeah, I know it's back in a off location, but I just hate to set a precedent for it.
Okay. Yeah, if we're talking about design, let's be thorough. Paul?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Kevin said. It doesn't have to be any bigger.
Okay. And Ben?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said.
Okay. So Mike, it sounds like yes, but you've got a pretty good directive from us, and we're gonna. Do you have any other questions before we act on this motion? Or
thank you. So the fonts are their corporate, they're fonts. So the sign for prior patch pediatrics, the one that's up there, that's what the font that's up there now, and that's their blue. So we're not changing the font, we're not changing the blue. That's already, I believe, it's already gone through your board and approved. So I don't know why we would have to change the font. The visiting nurses, that's their font also. It's just a different blue. That's the reason why I have them. They have their, and I hate to say corporate, I know corporate doesn't, mean anything, but those are their standards with all their signages that they have everywhere. So I believe if we separate them, and when I say cut down the middle, I'm just, we're just opening up because and I understand what you're saying about it looks like one thing, and it should be separated. I was just trying to keep the same square footage, keep everything the same, not being able to see it from the road, just so when people pull up, they know where they're going into. And then someone suggested, moving one sign over and then making another one the same size. So I just feel that
I think
the font should stay the same.
All right. Well, with the font, if it did go through the first time, we are reviewing this as a new sign. So we would like to say that other corporate entities have modified their fonts slightly to accommodate the guidelines. FedEx, Stop and Shop, the list goes on, Bank of America. So it's not out of question. And I don't think making slight serifs really changes, the public's opinion of this sign. So if you could incorporate that would be appreciated. I think the Visiting Nurses Association, that has serifs. It's just the home care and hospice doesn't. So that doesn't look like that's exactly a corporate logo as it is there. So just consider that, but splitting the signs, making it look balanced is really what we're just after. We just want it to be have it.
Okay.
It is an exception to the rule, the way that we're doing this. So trying to at least have it be an attractive exception that doesn't, bring other applicants in before us saying, well, here's the precedent that we want to follow. So
what you're saying is we will do two separate signs that are going to be 20 inches by 42 inches, right?
Or if you find that you could probably change those dimensions, so that proportion works for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be, if you wanted to say, if stretching them out and making it a little shorter works better, just, take a look at what works, but generally keeping the square footage similar. We, like I say, we want to see it balanced and looking like it belongs on the building. So,
okay. And then with the colors, can we keep their own two separate blues? Is that fine? Seeing that they're not going to be butt up against each other.
I think that's probably okay. Well, we'll just go through the board real quick so they don't have to go through this again at another meeting. Paul, you have any thoughts on colors being two different shades of blue?
Two is fine. I don't care for the white.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong.
Right. Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Paul said.
Okay, Kevin?
As long as there's a noticeable difference, I guess. It's
okay. Is that's the end of it? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, great. So I think we'll let me see if we have a second for Kevin's motion to hold for revisions.
Second.
Great. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Hopefully we gave you some good direction.
Thank you. So
Oh, yeah.
can I just, you guys kind of broke up a little bit, just so I'm hearing everything correctly. So we're going to use, it's okay to use the two separate blues. We're going to, if the size changes a little bit, just so everything sits proportionally, on the visiting nurses, the whole sign will be blue, okay? No white underneath. So where it says home care and hospice, there'll be a blue background with a white letter to match above. And then we're just going to open up the space between the two signs so they look good on the building, correct?
Correct. And look to, since you're making new signs, please add some slate serifing to the font so that we check that box on our concern list as well.
Chris,
yes, Kevin. Serifs on the fonts. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, one last thing here. It's a little hard to tell if this sign has a border to it. It looks like the previous one did.
Very, very good point.
Thanks.
So yeah, Mike.
Yeah, we can put a border. So again, I guess I'm getting confused. So on the fonts for the Briar Pediatrics, that's what was up there. That's what's been approved. So we're okay with that one, correct?
Well, we're saying it's a new, you're going to be applying for a new sign. So we're taking the opportunity to ask for you to consider putting the fonts on there, the serifs on that font. It would be appreciated. I don't, this is, I don't like the straight fonts. You want serifs on them? That's right. So the guidelines call for serifed fonts, traditional fonts whenever possible. So that's, and like I say, if you need to justify it, there's plenty of examples of where corporate logos have been slightly modified to fall in line with that request.
Okay.
So the fact that it got approved,
right.
We're asking for, this is a new application. We're just asking to review it as a new application. Okay.
Okay. And then, right. Okay. I'm not trying to be, that's going to be tough for these. I know it's going to be tough for them to change their whole font, even though something's been pre-approved from your board before. And I'm just representing them. I'm not, trying to create anything. I'm trying to let you know, because the Visiting Nurses Association, those have font. those have serifs on them.
Those are correct.
See them.
Correct.
I will bring it back to them and see what they say. Okay.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Athenaeum. Who is on the line to discuss the Athenaeum today?
I did not see anyone on for the Athenaeum, but they did. They had put that stake in the front of the property there for you guys to view, and they did submit a redesign on the sign. So I'll pull that up.
Okay. I'll just start then going with the members regarding location and redesign. Kevin, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I went down and took a look, and I really don't feel that this location needs another sign. There's actually, if you look around the front door surround, I don't know if it is on this photograph or not, but I counted about 6 or 7 signs that are already up around there. There's nothing really on this image. But there's other additional signs that are, yes, they're smaller than a square foot, but they're scattered around the front door. We already have the 2 information boxes on the front pillars. I feel that this sign where the stake is positioned, the information that's going to be inside of it is not going to be legible. And I think it's inappropriate that we stick this sign in the middle of the lawn. I understand that they've applied as a public information sign. However, they already have 2 public information signs. And to install the freestanding one, I think just goes back against many of our, certainly that key regulation. But even if we were to add one, it's not near the entrance of where it is. So I feel that this would also set a really bad precedent where now we've allowed basically to put a menu box up as a freestanding sign. So I think that there should be some work done to look at the entrance, to look at the current signs that are there. Maybe there's a way to propose something closer to the entrance that's, you know, by the door. But this just seems to be a quick reaction to put something up simply because it was there before. And I don't think it really, you know, enhances the architecture or the location at all. So I'm against this sign. So that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree with Kevin. My opinion hasn't changed since every time we've looked at this. It just doesn't seem like the right application. So not going to work.
Okay. All right, Kevin. Or excuse me, Paul.
Yeah, I'm going on the basis that this is an historic sign and it was there many years ago. I don't have a problem with it now. They've changed the some post to hold it up. And I think that I think it's okay, but I understand, you know, I agree that there are a lot of other signs. I went and looked at the location. I think the location is okay. But there's a lot of other signs saying things, including that this is a free public library up on the post by the door.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a extremely sensitive application for all the reasons that have been pointed out. It's precedent setting. It's one of the most iconic and architecturally sensitive buildings downtown. So the full board really needs to, you know, the HDC needs to be the ultimate arbitrators here. I have concerns that I don't think it's a good idea. So let's make a motion, and Billy, with the strongest recommendation that this is, you know, not on consent of any kind, that the board really has the chance to review this, hopefully with representation, so that it doesn't end up just, you know, going through the process without everybody having their say. I think it's important that this application gets the board's attention.
Chris, I also think it's important to add, if it does, I don't know if it's going to get talked about tonight or not, but they were not really able to demonstrate any significant, you know, history behind that sign. You know, maybe it's going back, I think I heard maybe 10 or 15 years or something, but our charge is to take things back further than that. So therefore, I don't see, yes, it's a cute sign. It was interesting when it went up, but I don't see that it has the history that's really worthy of the building, frankly. I think it's a little, you know, comical for the stature of the building. And I think it's appropriate to also begin to look at some kind of a master sign plan rather than just letting all of these signs get attached up around the front door. So I'd be willing to make a motion to you know, hold for a master sign plan and representation. I'd like to give them the opportunity to withdraw this freestanding sign, but I don't know if that will fly with everyone. So rather than making a motion to deny, I guess I'd be willing to make a motion to hold for revisions and a master sign plan. That makes sense.
I think it does. Billy, we're on the clock with this application, though, correct? Where it needs to have, are we running out of time?
No, I mean, I could have her sign an extension if she would, and if not, it could go right to the HDC meeting.
Okay.
I don't have her, let me see, hang on one second. Yeah, I mean, we're up against our backs against the wall here. So HDC will need to weigh in if you guys don't make a motion to approve or deny.
Say that again. They won't make a motion based upon what our motion is?
No, I mean, it should go to the HDC either way, for either that or she needs to sign an extension, one or the other. If it's going to be held for revisions, we would need an extension.
And if she doesn't sign that, does
Then
our recommendations still stand?
Yes, when at the meeting tonight, these items will go to the HDC with your recommendations, either, you know, however they are.
So I think we should send a recommendation because we want to have a statement on record. The HDC could the HDC hold for revisions and send it back, or is it they need to make a determination tonight if she doesn't sign the extension?
I would tell them they need to make a determination tonight if we don't have an extension in hand. Okay.
Really? Does that just allow everybody to wait to the last minute?
Well, it does. That's why there's a time limit on these applications. So they have to make they will have to make a ruling tonight if I am unable to get a signed extension from the applicant.
So you're saying that the board cannot uphold our recommendation?
Well, they can, but if it's a hold for revisions, I need to get the extension signed by the applicant.
I mean, we've run out of that time period to hold for revisions. So now it's make a decision, basically. It's time for the board to make a decision, or it gets automatically approved for lack of timely process.
It wouldn't get automatically approved. The HDC board would, this information will be given to them, all of the information that they would need to make a decision tonight.
I mean, if they don't make a decision tonight, then it would, in theory, be automatically approved.
They could get a constructive grant for the sign.
Right. So, okay. So we could make a motion that says we encourage a hold for revisions. However, based on this application, we feel or that this application should or should not be approved. Does somebody want to make a motion along those lines?
I'm still a little bit, I guess, confused by the process. I mean, we basically have a situation where the applicant started the process and then didn't show up for quite a while, and then comes back, and all of a sudden we're out of time. And our recommendation, I guess, if we make a recommendation to hold for representation and revisions, I don't understand why the full board would simply not endorse that recommendation, whether or not she signs it or not. But if that's the process, that's the process. So if we would rather just, I mean, I'm trying to give the applicant an opportunity to withdraw this piece of it and to clean up the stuff around the front door. And I don't know if that's possible. Help me out here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that we need to send a message to the board based on what's our recommendation. They're going to make they're going to make some determination tonight unless the applicant agrees to sign an extension, but that's the applicant's choice to agree or not. So we need to have a message that's going to the board tonight.
Just so you know, when we finish this meeting, I'm going to contact the applicant, email and phone, to see if she'll sign an extension. If she signs the extension, I'll just say a motion to hold for, or there was a recommendation to hold for revisions at the meeting. If I'm unable to get that, I will still say there was a recommendation to hold for revisions at the meeting, but I will bring up the fact that we're up against the time limit on this application.
Okay, so if that's the case, then I think it would be appropriate to make a motion to deny this application based on the following: that the freestanding signs are not permitted per our guidelines. There is currently excessive signage on the site, including unapproved signs. I think that's probably enough. I mean, we don't allow freestanding signs, and I think we should stick to it. So I think that's our strongest case. It's not arbitrary, and it's clearly stated in our guidelines. So that would be, my motion to deny. If we don't get
Right.
I think it's going to get denied either way, so we might as well just deny it.
Okay, do we have a second to Kevin's motion?
Second that.
Okay, Ben. Paul, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Ben?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
Okay, I am as well. I hope that the applicant signs the extension and we get to continue to work on it. Thank you, Billy. Good luck with working that out with the applicant. So what is our last application? We have, this is for the former Dan's Pharmacy, then it turned into the physical therapy center.
No.
And Paul, are you able to vote on this, or?
Well, I think so, but
Okay.
Clarification, this is the former Napa Auto Parts store from Harry.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you for, all right.
Across from
Glad
the
you're here.
pizza joint. I have spoken with the owner on this subject, and the board of the condominium association has approved it, not as presented here, but as was presented to us without a phone number. So I explained to the applicant that there might be an issue with the phone number in this meeting. I think
Okay.
I vote one way or another. I don't think it's a conflict.
Okay. And Billy, just to understand, is the red, is that like an awning that's being proposed, or in there, the slide above this one, is that part of the application we're looking at? Because I saw the red color swatch as well.
The applicants are on here, so
Oh, okay.
I would, yeah.
Hi everyone, can you
Thanks.
hear me okay?
Yes, Andrew, thanks.
Awesome.
So I guess
I'm Andrew
question
Brett, and
is,
I'm representing Christie's International Real Estate. So the red was just, we were proposing to paint that red. We were going to do that with our initial HDC application as well, but I just included the same picture that we included with our other application with this one as well. That's why it's showing up there. But that's nothing that we're going to be focusing on right away.
okay, so we're just looking at the sign.
Yeah.
All right, and let's open it up to the board for, well, there was the comment about the phone number. Andrew,
Yeah,
phone numbers aren't
remove
allowed
that
on signs. Okay, that's the low-hanging fruit there. Ben, do you want to open up the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'll say that I tried to go to the auto parts store this weekend with my son, and it was not there. We couldn't believe it. So
I apologize.
Now we know,
I know we've had a couple of people stop in.
We also, it was like the dirtiest store in Nantucket. My son loved going in there. So unfortunately, we're going to miss it. But yeah, the sign seems fine. I just definitely no phone number.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious that I want to confirm that that color is an approved red.
So yeah,
And
it's a
that's-
symphony. It's symphony, or I'm sorry, it's flamenco by Benjamin Moore. But I'd have to double check with your board if it's approved.
And that's
Quite a
just the
red.
lettering, essentially, correct? Or is that
It's
just
the
border
lettering and then
piece?
the inside border.
Okay.
Correct.
And the background is white.
Yep, it's just going to be plain white, because we were initially proposing to just do it on a vinyl board, like a 1-inch thick vinyl, and have a CNC carve everything and then paint it in.
Okay, so it does need to be a wood wood board. Has that been modified in the application? Okay.
We had PVC, but we can have that changed as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Make that wood.
Absolutely.
All right. So back to the review. Paul?
I have no other comments.
Okay, thanks. Kevin?
Could I see the photograph of the building, not the rendering, but the... Help me out here. I don't understand what that black thing is.
It's a green. It's like the trim of the building. They have just painted green right now. It's just like probably an 8 or a 10-inch facade board.
Huh. Okay. I actually, this is not the let me put it. It's a very interesting piece of architecture, and the piece over the door is historically an appropriate statement. However, I don't think it should be turned into a sign. I think it's part of the architecture of the building, whether we like the building or not. And to remove it and turn it into a sign just seems really against one of our main charges, which is to enhance the architecture. So I'd rather see a different solution than to do this. I understand it has been done for the sports medicine place, and that was a holdover from, I think it was Dan's. But it's just, I don't know if anybody else shares that concern. I just think it's kind of an inappropriate assault on this architecture. That's all.
Well, I hadn't thought about it that way, Kevin, and until you say it, but does anybody else on the board have a thought on that, Ben?
I mean, like a blade sign hanging from a bracket centered over that fan detail would be nice. But I just, I lack a architectural affinity to this area, and having the sign in that fan just doesn't bother me that much. But if it was a historic building, absolutely, but not this building.
Paul?
I'm not going to make any more comments.
Okay, thanks. I tend to agree with Ben on this. I mean, in the sense that I'm more concerned, quite frankly, about the HDCs allowing the red paint on the trim, because I think that'll sort of become an extension of the sign, and it'll certainly be drawing a lot more attention to the building. I don't recall it being green. I wonder if that was done recently, but that's just an interesting color combination that's on that building right now. So the sign, it is a little bit over. Yes, go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, even like we were proposing, we could paint it white even. I believe it was existing green, and we just didn't feel that the green would match well with our colors, so we were proposing to paint it red, but we could certainly do white or leave it. It's no big issue for us.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think if it were white, it would just obviously disappear, and then the sign would be its own entity. But in any event, I think the sign would be okay in that location. So sorry, Kevin, I tend to agree with Ben on this. I don't love that fan deck at the portico as it is. So, and I would rather not see other signage compound this facade. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Excuse me, can I step in for a second?
Doug, sure.
So I'm Doug Ratton. I'm Andrew's dad, and I'm also, involved and own the property here. Thank you for your consideration. My quick question, just again, this painted green stripe that we're proposing to paint red. We're just doing the sign today, right? Then the red paint goes in front of another board to get approval for that. Then they would say yay or nay. Is that correct?
So, yeah, we're the sign advisory committee. So our job is to basically assist the HDC, the full board that meets tonight,
okay,
and tell them how appropriate or inappropriate a sign application is, using the guidelines as our basis. So the painting of the building is their charge completely, nothing to do with us.
okay.
My point, however, is that I think the sign guidelines do open the door for anything that draws attention to a building. It could be considered a sign.
Okay.
So my point is simply that red band would be certainly a unique approach. I can't think of any other building that has that sort of or frankly, this green one. But anyway, hopefully the board will consider it as a
and they could,
package.
Like they might say no to the red, but they might approve the white. The green. I wouldn't want that green to remain with our sign. I think it'd be just too much color going on. So we can discuss that with them at that point, right?
Right. That would be. I believe. Is it all going tonight, Billy? Not to get too far off track here, but are both applications up for tonight?
I don't believe we've received an application for, there was the red painting. I believe there was another small alteration that Andrew had sent me, but I had told him this would just be for the sign.
Yeah,
okay.
We have to, we're still working with our contractors for the other parts of our other application.
Okay.
Because we were going to do windows and stuff like that. Sorry.
Got it. We could certainly send the message with our review that we believe this sign would be most appropriate with a white painted facade, fascia or facade. And hopefully that message gets through to the board so they consider it when the other application comes through. Yeah. But we are just recommending a decision for the sign.
Thank you.
So does anybody want to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve the sign with the removal of the phone number.
Second.
Okay. That's been seconded. So we don't have any comments on the white versus green versus red, which is simply a comment we could add to our recommendation.
With the motion to include our recommendation to the HDC that the breeze board not be painted red, but instead painted white when that application comes to their attention.
Okay, I think that's important. It's all in context.
Okay.
All right, so there's the motion to recommend approval. Oh,
comment.
Kevin, do you want to make comment before we?
Yeah, I just to clean it up that the materials should be wood.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Right. All right, so we have a motion to make a wood sign that has no phone number, going for recommendation for approval with the strong recommendation for a white facade or fascia when the application comes through. Is that seconded?
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Ben, are you in favor of that?
Aye.
And Kevin?
No.
No. And Paul?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm in favor. So that will go as a 3-1 vote to tonight's meeting. So Andrew, that will be up for review at tonight's meeting with the motion, with the recommendation for approval.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And that brings us to enforcement. Billy, have you had any updates to share?
No, I have no new updates. I sent you guys the updated list, and I haven't heard anything from anyone.
Okay. Does any board member have a comment, question?
I've got to send a picture of that Fair Street Church freestanding sign. The more I look at the Athenaeum one that they're proposing, and I'm sure I see I just don't think it's been there for very long.
Is that St. Paul's? Is that what you're talking about?
The big stone one, is that St. Paul's? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. Has anybody else seen that? I know I bring it up every week. Nobody else drives up Fair Street, huh?
Yeah, I've seen it. I thought it was refurbished. I actually know somebody I could ask that question to. Because
well, Billy, would you look that up and instead of sending a picture, or maybe I somehow figure out if it's just an existing one that's been there?
Yeah, let me see if there's anything in the folder for that property. And I mean, most times with some of these older buildings, there's not, but I can easily go take a look.
All right, maybe I'll just do a real quick NHA photo search and just see if if it shows up in an old picture, and then I can put it behind me. But yeah, it was just something I never noticed before, and now I see it every morning. So I'll do my own research before. If I send you a picture of it, it means that I think it's not been there. But
okay.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yes, Mike, you're back.
Yeah, thank you. If I could ask one more question, please, before I go back to my customer about signs I'm proposing. I just want to make sure we get it right, and I'm thinking about my customer also, because they've already gone through the process of the briar patch and got approval. It's a nice sign. It looks great. It's carved, everything like that. And someone had mentioned, because it's so far back from the road, you can't see it from the road, and how far back it is from the parking lot. What if we took that existing sign that has already been approved and put it to the right, and then make a brand new sign for the DNA/hospice, with full blue background, nice border, carved, so that they are, they equally there. That way, the briar patch doesn't have to do a new sign and have to change everything that they've already been approved for. So I'm just trying to try to take care of everything. So when I go back to them, they're going to ask me these questions.
Well, we've made a motion and already passed it to hold for revisions. I think that we're pretty clear about the way that the guidelines recommend the fonts be what they are. So this would be kind of new applications coming through to satisfy the additional tenants. We could go back and say we need a master sign plan. So there's things that could. I think we've given you pretty good direction, and it would be unfair to just continue the conversation. I think that the direction was pretty clear. I don't mean to say it's unfair, but it would just be, we're just revisiting the same old thoughts. You have, that sign's 11 square feet. So if there were two of them, it would exceed the wall footage allowance, just FYI. So I think.
Well, what's the square footage? And again, I'm just asking questions just so that when I go back, I have all the answers.
Sure, 20 square feet is the maximum sign allowance. So
for each tenant or for a
no, for the entire building.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then that answers the question perfectly. Or they'll have to do something then. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you guys talking with me. Thank you. And I apologize if I interrupted anybody at the end here. So we'll resubmit some renderings, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Happy to help. All right. Any other comments? Any motions? No motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Think of one. Thank you, Paul. Kevin, anybody second that?
Second.
All right, thanks. Benny, in favor?
All right. Aye. Aye, everybody.
All right, Kevin.
Aye.
Me too. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. I will, I'll be in touch shortly once I'll let you know, Kevin, what, if I get an extension signed.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You know, if you want representation from us, I'm happy to attend.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Kevin.